headlines across the world by Florence
Hi, Molly.
Villemino. Hey there. So tell us, of course, we're going to start with the debt default that has now been avoided in the U.S.
That's right. It's the big story in the press today. It's all over the papers. Let's start by looking at The Independent. It's on their front page. They say they think it's over, but is it really the end of America's debt nightmare? That's what everyone really wants to know. There's a real feeling that this deal that's been reached is really just a Band-Aid, and the real problems still remain. In fact, the Washington Post, in their editorial, they talk about this. They say that this deal is buying time for Republicans and Democrats to find some sort of a bigger fiscal fix, it's a hard one to say, but this is a minimalist deal that was just cobbled together, and in the end, it's only buying a short interval of peace.
And it looks like the blame game, it's already begun, hasn't it?
That's right. The blame game has already begun just a couple of hours after that deal was met. I mean, a lot of people are saying, look, there was no real winner in what the shutdown, but, you know, a lot of papers are taking a look at this. Slate, for instance, says that the big winner in all this is Obama. If you look at the shutdown like a crude analogy of two cars playing chicken, well, it was the president's opponents who pulled over. But Obama may not have won the way he wanted to. He might have won in a dirtier way than he would have liked. According to Slate, the president came into office preaching for bipartisanship, but in the end, this deal that was meant was, well, actually defined as being a partisan victory.
All right, it looks like Republicans are drawing a lot of criticism for the way they dealt with the crisis.
That's right. The Daily Beast says that finally the Republican fever is broken. This deal is a complete and utter loss for Republicans. First of all, because Obamacare has emerged unscathed. And on top of that, the civil war that's going on within the Republican Party, well, it's still roaring on. On top of that, Republicans have taken a real beating in opinion polls. About 3/4 of Americans disapprove of how House Republicans dealt with the shutdown, and the Republican Party has achieved the lowest approval rating in recorded history. But the Daily Beast says the key question is, has the far right in the states, has it really learned its lesson? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, in the Washington Post, it's also taking a look at the winners and losers.
That's right. Well, on top of the winners, on top of, for instance, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid or the Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, one of the winners, according to the Washington Post, is Obamacare, because the shutdown actually overshadowed what a lot of people have said was somewhat of a disastrous start to Obamacare, problems online, etc. But also Twitter. Twitter is a big winner because it proved to be the indispensable tool for keeping updated on things. As for the losers, on top of the Republicans, the Washington Post says our system of government might actually be a big loser in all this, because the key question is this how our government should actually work? Now, the Wall Street Journal looks at another loser, which is, the U.S.'s international prestige, as it says, which has been badly dented by this display of fiscal dysfunction. It's embarrassing, according to the Wall Street Journal, and this could have many serious consequences for the U.S. economy due to a lack of confidence in the system of government, and this could have ripple effects around the world. It could also affect the U.S.'s credibility in advising other countries on how to deal with their own economic issues. And as the Wall Street Journal points out, a lot of people are saying that the things need to change. For instance, there was a stinging editorial in a Chinese paper this week that called for for a de-Americanized global economy.
Well, it looks like some papers are even going so far as to say that this is a sign of the decline of the U.S.
That's right. This is a piece in a Sharq al-Awsat, the Pan-Arab paper based in London, that says, is this a moral or a material decline of America? And it points out that on top of this shutdown, it hasn't been a great year for the U.S. on the international front. For instance, Obama has drawn a lot of criticism for the way he's been dealing with the Syria crisis. He's emerged weak, hesitant, etc. But according to this article in a Sharq al-Awsat, we're not really witnessing the death of America here. America remains present on the scene internationally and strong at home.
All right, and Flo, real quick, finally, papers are wondering how we'll look back on this crisis in time.
That's right. Well, we always say that history is written by the winners, but according to Slate, spin has been around just as long as winning and losing has, and the spin is on in Washington, according to Slate. Republicans are wasting no time rewriting the history of their own defeat. Basically, according to Slate, what the Republicans are trying to do is A, show that they did everything they could to stop Obamacare, B, show that it was Obama who really didn't want to negotiate, and C, play down the effects of the shutdowns, show that, you could actually do without the federal government in the end. The sun didn't stop shining. History will just tell whether or not they managed to change the story in the end.
That's right. All right. Florence Villemino with a look at the international press. Thank you for that. You're watching Live from Paris. Coming up in the news, we'll have the shutdown, which is now over. The debt ceiling has been raised. Now the hope is that it just won't happen all over again in a few months' time. And in focus, we've got a special report as the case of a nursery worker sacked from a job for refusing to take off her Islamic veil at work. It goes back to court. We'll have that and more. Do stay with us.